Do you think cancel culture is finally coming to an end with left-leaning celebrities now feeling the effects of it, like Whoopi Goldberg with her, you said Jewish comment, yes, and The Rock for his anti-Asian segment on WWE? I'm not even, I mean, I know what people say when they say cancel culture, but it has a pretty vast meaning and lots of audiences use it in different ways. Are you asking me that people are realizing on the left side, the ones who have been, although, sorry, dude, I got to tell you, all this fucking book banning shit, you know, that some of these school boards are taking up, like, we can't tell people that, you know, slavery has been quite terrible. And by the way, like, you know, I'll leave that part alone. But, you know, if you're banning books and you look at the list of book banning and then the reasoning behind that, if y'all are against cancel culture, you better fucking speak up. You better speak up. It doesn't matter if you're interested in critical race theory. I'm not even sure what the fuck that's supposed to be. Here's what I am interested in. When school boards start banning books, bro, you have a problem on your hands. So however much y'all are like, let's let these left-leaning celebrities get their comeuppance, I'm cool with it, fine. If you're honest, if you're intellectually honest, you need to be speaking out against all of them. Like this trucker thing, I'm not really on their side at all. But what the Canadian government is doing, trying to like turn them into terrorists and freezing their funds and then doxing them and all the donors, this is abhorrent. You have to oppose that, not because you support the truckers, even if you do. You oppose that because those methods are by themselves unjustified. And two, are they going to be turned to some audience that you might perceive as quite reasonable, and they're going to do the exact same thing to them. So it's abhorrent what's happening. Now, to answer about Whoopi, I don't think like Whoopi's the same thing. I mean, how she got suspended. Dude, she apologized right away and was like, okay, you were right, I was wrong. I stand corrected. She came out right away. I think that was the exact word she used. We're supposed to be mad at her for this. Like, you know, she said a dumb thing. She got corrected. She was like, you're right. Okay, fine. Move along. The Rock thing is is funnier to me. He didn't just make anti-Asian comments on WWE. He made a bunch of tranny jokes on Twitter as well, like accusing people who were saying nasty things about him of that. And of course, dude, this is what this whole, like, dude, people are, this doesn't mean you look the other way on mendacity or, you know, people who are spewing obviously toxic things into the world, but it just sort of means you have to understand on some level, especially if you're older like me, like 40, 50, 60, you know, you're talking about people who have lived through different eras where what was acceptable before is no longer acceptable now, and you were literally, again, I'm not trying to excuse bad behavior. What I am trying to say is, I'll just speak about myself. Enlightenment, to the extent you can find it, and basic civilization, not the group of people, but the act of civilizing people. Dude, you're not born that way. I mean, if some of y'all were born enlightened about all of these matters, congrats. I was not. I was not. I was not. And I am sure that you could point to things I did not too long ago even and say, like, this was not very in keeping with your current values, in keeping with social values, in keeping with any kind of value that anyone of a rational mind would respect. And it's probably true. So, like, you know, people were like beating up on The Rock and be like, oh, yo, he did this thing. Joe Rogan did this thing. Shouldn't you come out and say something negative about it? And, dude, The Rock is just a corporate avatar smashed into a body full of anabolics. That's all he is, dude. Like, y'all think he's some hero. He's not your fucking hero. Took over for Reebok and did the exact same thing with Reebok. He's Reebok with the people's eye or whatever his fucking gimmick is. You know, you're putting out statements, this is for the hardest workers in the room, and you didn't do anything other than what Reebok did. Totally fraudulent. Totally fraudulent. I can't tell you how many, after he tweeted me, I cannot tell you how many managers who never reached out to me and thanked me for asking questions, being like, dude, who the fuck, where is the money? You didn't give them any extra money? You didn't do anything other than what Reebok did? Seriously? After all this high rhetoric, they're the hardest workers in the room. Well, why aren't you rewarding that? Just another taker, dude. Just another. The guy spoke out in behalf of Mohammed bin Salman, first of all, and then his boys with Jeff Bezos. Like, y'all think this is your friend. He ain't your fucking friend. He's the dude at the end of the corporate board who is, you know, all too happy to make difficult choices for everyone else's life. That's great for his bottom line. That's who that dude is. Just so that's clear. But to answer your question, like the other part is like, guys, we've all got a ton of transgressions that if you're my age or so, you need to understand. So the point I'm trying to make is that should impart a degree of humility upon you to understand that, yes, it is not wrong to ask. I'm not even speaking about the Joe Rogan situation. It's not wrong to ask others to do better. But as a personal thing, folks were being like, I had people DMing me, aren't you going to say something on the negative side? And it's like, dude, if I disagree with 90% of the shit Joe Rogan says that's not MMA, and even MMA, it's like 50% I disagree with. We don't see the world the same way. But what I'm not going to do is parade like I've reached some level of fucking enlightenment about all of this. Well, this is clearly... yeah, of course, at some point, having moral clarity about things is important, and stating it is important, and believing those things is important. But if you have been, in the church's words, a sinner on this issue, that should impart your wisdom about how reformation is possible, how long it takes, how uneven it can be. You know? Like, I just think about myself. It's like, I think back some of the things I said and did and believed, and I didn't think any of those things were bad at the time I was believing. And now I'm like, fuck me, you know? So, you know, The Rock bought into this bullshit about, like, I got to make sure that I distance myself at this. He probably had some fucking attorney or manager in his ear being like, this is a thing. But it's not a winning position because nobody can do that. Nobody who's lived through the world long enough, who was born with enlightenment, can do that. All of us have been that way. So I think if you want to, you can speak out and be clear about things you disagree with and why you disagree with them. But, you know, parading your moral excellence as a way to make an argument when it's just as fraught as everyone else's, to me, is so fraudulent. That's why I liked what Whoopi did better. Whoopi was like, all right, y'all are right. Y'all are right, my bad. Sorry. You were right. What else can you ask of a person? Right? Isn't that the whole idea is like, okay, we don't know everything. If we say something and it's wrong and someone tells us it's wrong, accepting that, acknowledging it, but then everyone else moving along with it because they don't want to impugn the entirety of your character. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how it's supposed to work. Not, man, fuck that. Yeah, you guys are right. Yeah, fuck that guy. When you're just as fucking bad as everyone else. You know, the whole fuck that guy thing, it has a time and a place, but you need to be sparing with that shit.